Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back into Venting with Us. Yes. Welcome, welcome. What a week. Oh my God, it went so fast. We have so much to talk about today. It's just so crazy. But first and foremost, before we get into it, guys, you know me, I like to kind of recap you guys on what's happening. So if you guys noticed, we have a new look. Yes. The new hair person. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Found the new hair person. So, a hairdresser, I should say. So this is what had happened. Let me give you the setup. I went and I saw this hair salon, Tapestry, out in Mount Sinai, and I said, you know what? Let me go in. Let me just see, because really, I don't think my hair can take anymore. It really can't. I keep pushing it, but I don't think that it could take anymore. So I went in, and when I tell you, the receptionist, and I forgot her name, I'm so sorry. She was absolutely a gem. So, and I love that. That's the first thing that I'm going to notice as soon as I walk in, is someone's energy. And I was able to speak to the owner of the salon. His name is Elian. And he just, friends, he bibbity bobbity booped me. Like, I went in like Cinderella and I came out as Princess Cinderella, okay? And I literally told him that today. I literally legit told him that today. But he did such an amazing job. And the one, I've been very, very lucky, except with one hairdresser, that hairstylist, that because she burnt my hair. She was really, really, really terrible. But I've learned over the years, learning and growing. But, he just gave great conversation. He made me feel so comfortable. I felt rich, bitch. Okay. Like she was in it. She had her cappuccino. She had her mimosas. I was like in heaven. And I love that. I'm not spoiled, but everybody likes to feel comfortable where, especially that, someone's going in on the hair and whatnot. So I'm very, very blessed. I always kind of feel like people come into my life and for a reason, and wonderful things have been happening lately, knock on wood. So I'm very, very, very happy. I'm ecstatic. So anybody that lives out in Long Island, if you guys need a new person to do your hair, go to and you're in the Mount Sinai area, Tapestry, highly recommend. Go in. At the whole entire staff, not only the owner, but the whole entire staff is amazing. And when I say they make you feel so comfortable and so at home, I love it. I know that the next time I go in, which will be in the next couple of months, we're just going to pick up convo like we did. So I'm very, very excited. And you guys know I will be talking about this for a minute. The next thing that happened this week that I have to talk about really quickly is my girl, Ginger Funk. The package finally came in. So I want to make sure that that's on camera. So if you guys want to follow her, she is on TikTok and she is on YouTube. She has her things going on, and on Spotify. You can also find her on Spotify. She also has her own podcast. Her book came in, so I'm going to open it. I'm going to show you guys the end results of it because I want to give her moment. So the book is called, this is her first book, so I'm very, very proud of her. The book is called Writing My Way Through Grief, A Daughter's Journey Through Love, Loss, and Letting Go. Alyssa, there you go. This is what the book looks like. And you can also either purchase it through her, or you can go on Amazon also and purchase it. So it's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. She has been doing a lot of audio on YouTube. So I'm very, very proud of her. And she created a little AI kind of documentary off of it and making little stories or AI stories, if you want to say. She inspired me to do the AIs. As you guys know, again, a love story, AI animation is on my YouTube page. So please, please, please support. That's how the train works. But for those that don't know how to deal with grief or are struggling with grief, I highly recommend this book. This is an amazing book, and it's been selling so good. I cannot wait to actually start reading it and getting into it. I have enjoyed all the AI, and oh my God, everyone's getting afraid of this AI stuff that's coming out. It's like taking over the world. But you know what? I keep telling people it's the way of the world nowadays. And by the way, I just want to clarify. I don't even know how to speak today. I just want to clarify something really quickly. I don't like it. People know that I've been in the medical industry for a very long time. And I don't like it when people are coming up on and making short clips. There's one person in particular. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. And if you don't, I'll give you the chisme later. But he's like, yeah, the AI is taking over the nursing world and blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. No, it's not. I have a lot of people that are actually in the business. You guys know this. And at the end of the day, AI cannot physically take over nursing positions. They will be updating a lot of the information, like when you call in and make appointments and people that do the reception as part of it, that is going to fade out. But as far as nursing goes, I have said this a while back. This is not the field to get into at this time. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. I'm not going to dabber into this episode because this is not what this episode is about. But you guys don't have to worry about AI. So please do not listen to what people are saying or this particular person is saying, because I think he's just on a rant in these days. I don't know what's going on. It's not my business, but I like to be in the chisme, but I don't want to be in the chisme, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, so I just wanted to kind of clarify that because a couple of people who know that I've been in that industry for a really long time have been asking me, like, is this true? Is this happening? I'm like, no, it's not true. It's not happening. So clear cut and dry on that one. Okay. Oh my God. So not only did I find my new hair person, my girl wrote her book. There was one other thing that happened this week, and I'm trying to remember, but I'm not going to deep dive into it. If I remember at the end of this episode, then I'll definitely do it. Also, I just wanted to, that's what I wanted to mention also. We are still on the track of the goal before the end of the year to get me up to 20K. So definitely spread the word on my TikTok. We have been doing amazing with the podcast. So I appreciate you guys so much for always supporting me. And I do listen to you guys. I know the podcast room is still being put together, and you guys have been saying, it needs more color, it needs more color, it needs more of this. I'm listening to you guys. Don't worry, we're going to get there. I just want to make sure that things slowly get there. So I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. Don't worry. We're working on it. This is our little Tamagotchi. So, but let's get into it today. Let's talk about multiple personality disorder, or what they also call DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. We're going to speak about Billy Millagn, who is the first person in U.S. history to be acquitted of a major crime by reason of insanity due to having dissociative identity disorder, or also known as DID. Now, the reason why I got into this story was because, one, as you guys know, a couple of weeks back, I was discussing how I went ahead and I subscribed to Apple, and then I canceled my subscription. But the reason why I got into Apple was because of this case, I was really fascinated, and I also read The Minds of Billy Millagn by Daniel Keyes. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal book. So if you're a book lover, this is a book for you. But I was watching the Apple series, The Crowded Room, which is based off of Billy Milligan's story. And you guys know me, I like to compare the stories. And I also was watching the Netflix version, also the documentary series of Billy Milligan, The Multi-Worlds of Billy Milligan. That's the Netflix documentary series, if you guys are interested in watching that. I do have to say, I understand with the series, they can't get everything in, but I do love a series where it actually stays close to the stories, because there's always those certain things in true stories that you want to keep as close as possible, because it's important, you know. And as I'm, I'll get more into detail of what's different between the docuseries and what is actually true. But Billy Milligan, he was arrested in 1977 for kidnapping and for rape, and his defense attorney argued that he had 24 different personalities, including a man named Billy and a killer named Adeline, who is actually a woman. And he also had another personality that was a British personality named Reagan, who was the main person during the trial that kept on coming up. And it seemed like he was the main person controlling the body of Billy. That case was such a huge landmark case, brought to public, that it inspired many people, especially in the medical field, to learn more about DID. And it also, again, it inspired the nonfiction book, The Minds of Billy Milligan by Daniel Keyes, which again, I highly recommend. Milligan was accused of kidnapping and raping 3 women near the Ohio State University campus, which again, they did not put in the series. And I really, really do wish that they would have mentioned that. They kind of made it seem like he didn't know why he was being, brought into the psychiatrist, why he was getting locked up. They made it seem like he was just after one particular person, which was the stepfather, and he shot a gun in the public, and that's why he got arrested, which was not even the case. The case was that he actually raped and kidnapped these 3 women, and that's how he got caught. So the stories right there were completely, completely different. According to the court-appointed psychiatrist, Milligan had 24 distinct personalities who shared control of his body. These personalities included a boy named Danny, a lesbian woman named Adeline, and a 20-year-old British man named Reagan. Milligan spent years in a I knew I was going to mess this up, guys. Don't worry. I'm going to get there. A psychiatric hospital for his treatment. He later went on the run and changed his identity, but was ultimately recaptured and returned to the mental institution. The high-profile case was brought to public attention and inspired by the 2023 Apple TV series, The Crowded Room, as I just spoke about. According to Billy's doctors, they had discovered severe physical and sexual abuse inflicted by Billy's stepfather, Calmer Milligan, and that's what caused his split personalities. It went from 10 personalities to 24 personalities by the end of the trial. Now, when it comes to DID, every case that I've been reading up to has led to some type of sexual abuse. And what has been known in a lot of these cases is that the severe physical and sexual abuse upon a child has led them into disassociating into a different character as a form of a protection from that trauma. A lot of the cases, they can be male, they can be female, depending on the actual sexual abuse, the actual the person that's abusing them. So a lot of the cases have been different, but it's always been the same thing: either severe physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. And a lot of people, what they do is, they have one body, and then something will trigger them. It could be, this is just for bullshit. They can, a shoe can be thrown across the room, and that can trigger somebody because that person was probably beaten with a shoe, which, you know what, that would kind of be like saying the most of these people, I don't know if, I don't want to say that, but I was, I'm Latina, so there was no CPS in my family, that's for sure. Do I have multiple personalities? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing, guys. I'm just playing. But separate personalities that Billy was able to show in the courts. That's how they were able to reveal that he had actual 24. When the psychiatrist was coming in and interviewing Billy, they had only met 10 personalities, and they were all different. They ranged from the ages of 10 all the way up to about 50 years old. And again, different cases will have different age, sex, every little thing. It depends, really. It goes by case by case. And here's a little snippet that you guys, I can share with you guys, is that in 2025, well, nowadays, it is harder now to prove that someone has multiple personality disorder. It is not so high profile like it was back in 1977 and the 1980s, because a lot of victims do claim this. And it's interesting that a lot of psychiatrists have come out because they can't really confirm what or who can actually have multiple personalities. So it's been getting harder to prove that people do suffer from these disorders. The Netflix documentary, which is why I kind of liked this version of it, does give you the traces of the 8 tumultuous years of the institution and the jail psychiatrist information. So you can get a lot of that, of how his personalities were different when he was in jail and versus when he was in a psychiatric ward, which he was in the Ohio psychiatric facility for many, many, many years. And all of his personalities came out in those hospitals, which is very interesting because it kind of makes you think, okay, well, what triggered in the hospitals that didn't trigger in the jailhouse, and they never come up with this. And I'm always thinking a little bit beyond, Billy's trial. Billy was able to obtain, oh my God, I lost track of my thing. I'm sorry, guys. Billy was able to escape from the Ohio Psychiatric Hospital at some point, and he was able to obtain fake documentation under the name of Christopher Carr and settled in Bellingham, Washington. He was able to get a roommate. He was able to live a somewhat normal life, up until he was actually recaptured again in around 1987. So what happened is that Billy had a roommate, Michael Madden, and Michael Madden went missing in 1986. People were very suspicious. They didn't know what had happened to him because Michael was a very public figure in society. He was always out and about. He was disabled. A lot of people for months were very inquisitive and they wanted to know what had happened to Michael. You know, they knew that he had a roommate. They couldn't figure out where he was. And it was not until later on where it started becoming more of a high profile case that Billy decided, you know what, this is getting too hot. I'm assuming, he ended up leaving the state and he was captured by Florida State Patrol. Unfortunately, when it came to the Michael Madden case, no one was ever convicted of the disappearance of him. But they do know that something had happened because in the apartment, they were able to figure out that many of Michael Madden's possessions were found in Billy Milligan's apartment. And Billy was also cashing in Michael's disability checks. According to all the documentation that I read, they had a shared account, which I find that that's another interesting thing because how did that happen? How did that become that they had a shared account? You know, and this is why I get so disappointed with the documentaries and all the stories because these are so important to know. Okay, well, how close was the relationship? That, you know, because you have to be pretty close with someone in order to share a bank account with them, right? But who knows? After Billy's arrest, he was sent back to the Ohio Psychiatric Hospital, and an independent psychiatrist doctor concluded that he was not a danger to society, that he could live a normal life. He just needed more help in the hospitals. And he was able to prove this case. And after several years of being treated and being in the psychiatric hospital, they were able to release Billy out into the world. And he ended up moving into a trailer that his sister purchased for them. And because his case was such a high profile case, he was not able to actually live a normal life. He could not go out into the town without being taunted by people. He couldn't go into a grocery store. So his sister took a lot of the load off of him, allegedly, off of him. Unfortunately, that has to be interesting to be, walking down the street and, what people are thinking about you. We live in such a society now that everyone is on social media and people judge by our videos and by the way we look and that's pretty sad, so I can only imagine you being released from a psychiatric ward and you can't even go down the block because this has been all over the news. So it's very, very interesting. And I worked in a doctor's office many, 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 many years ago where this man who used to be a high profile judge, and you guys know the story if you've been following the show, and he was not allowed to be on devices, but he was the receptionist. He did take a lot of the calls in, but people know him out here. He was the most famous judge that broke into his next door neighbor's house and got caught stealing, women's underwear. And that is what he is known as, the panty stealer man. But when I tell you, he is the nicest person. I really had a connection, not so deep like that, but I did have a connection with him where he was very friendly and you would not suspect that this man would do that. And that is almost kind of like what I spoke about last week with Ed Gein. You know, everybody knew him as a really polite person and he got along with everybody. But at the end of the day, he was mutilating people. He made their skulls into bowls. So you just never really know what people are capable of, until you actually hear it. And that's what's the scary thing about it is. But Billy Millagn was able to live almost a normal life up until the age of 59. He did end up passing away in 2014 to cancer. His family still lives in Ohio, but people still remember this as a high profile case. And, it really raised a lot of speculations over the years of whether or not DID really does exist. Is it plausible? You do hear a lot of cases. Deandra Milligan, who is a sister, she has not spoken. She still lives in the state. You have a lot of cases like Melissa Wardrow, who has 8 personalities. You can actually see her on YouTube, and they filmed her actually coming in and out of the personalities. The Netflix series on Billy Milligan, you can see they do show actual footage of him going in and out of his different personalities. So again, they make these documentaries, they make these series, and you know, when you start reading and digging into them, how much do we know about DID and how many more, personalities do they bring out there? Everybody knows the most famous movie from with Sally Fields, Sybil. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie. And that is based off of also another real person. So, if you guys are interested, again, you can watch the Netflix series or you can watch the Apple series, The Crowded Room. I highly recommend you to do watch the Crowded Room. It was great. So I'm not going to complain too much about it. You know me, I'm picky. Um, but our time is up. My God, it always goes so fast. I actually, after speaking to everyone, for the month of Halloween, I think what I'm going to do this month is is bring up a lot of the serial killers this month, and we'll make it a spooky Halloween. So I'm actually going to do some serial killers stories next week. We might start off with Jeffrey Dahmer. I learned some interesting facts today I did not know, and I thought I knew all of the stories. You see, you never know until you start speaking to people. But I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. It's supposed to rain out here. We're supposed to get this huge hurricane. I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but let's just hope and pray that the weather people are off. It is the one job that you cannot get fired from for being wrong. So, but I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great week. And again, we will see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a good one.